Hi everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel of Everything Photography, and thank you so much for tuning in to today's topic, how to perfect a flat lay for wedding photography. A flat lay is a technique in photography where you photograph objects on a flat surface with the intent of telling a story or to simply share a perspective. In wedding photography, photographers will capture flat lay images of invitations, stationery, jewelry, ribbons, and other items to showcase the details of the wedding day. Personally, for me, flat lays are one of my favorite parts on the big day because I feel like it really sets the tone for the wedding day, but it's also one of the most challenging parts, especially if you have such a limited amount of time to think creatively, set up, and execute. So today I'm going to share with you 5 simple steps on how to photograph your next wedding day flat lay. All right, step 1 is gather the items. And this step is actually gonna happen prior to the wedding day. You're gonna reach out to the client or the wedding planner and ask them to create an organized pile for you of all the wedding day details. For example, the shoes, the veil, florals, invitations, stationery, jewelry, and any other items that they want you to photograph. And on the day of the wedding, I'll walk up to the florist and I'll ask them if they have a few extra floral pieces lying around that you could use for your flat lays. Also pay attention to the venue decor. Sometimes they'll have things laying around that you could possibly incorporate into your flat lays. I also bring with me to every wedding ribbons, fabric pieces, some ring boxes, and I always make sure that I choose neutral colors so it doesn't distract from any of the invitations that they have or any of the decor items that I might find at the venue. And the next step is finding the perfect spot and location. Whenever I go to a wedding venue, I will try to scout locations. I especially love photographing next to big windows or doors where I have natural lighting pouring in. The only problem that I have with that is because it is from a window, a side window, the lighting is typically very directional. But what I like to do to even out the lighting around my flat lay is use, for example, with me today, I have this whiteboard. And I like to lay it on the side that's not getting enough lighting. So in this case, it would be my right side so that the natural lighting is bouncing off of my whiteboard and hitting the flat lay to create that even lighting. If you don't have a whiteboard with you, and a lot of the times I don't either, I'll try to find maybe white curtains, white sheets, or even a white pillow to be able to reflect and bounce that light off. And the third step is going to be finding that perfect backdrop. I personally think that this is one of the most important components to a flat lay because it could either really complement all the details or it could be really distracting to them. First and foremost, find a flat surface because you really don't want to be setting up your details, your items, and then having it rolling off, or if there's even the slightest bit of wind, it tends to roll off of the flat lay. So make sure you find a flat surface. I like to bring my neutral styling boards to every wedding because it's neutral and it's not distracting at all, and it's just nice to know that there is a consistency when I go to every wedding and I know what to expect for the flat lay backboard. If you don't have a styling board with you, that's fine. A lot of the times you can just show up to a venue and gather the invitations and the items and find a spot that complements the invitations. For example, one time I had a couple that got married at a very old world chapel. So what I did was I found an area with cobblestone flooring, but it was a very neutral color, and the invitations themselves were very simple, very classic and very simple and elegant. So I laid them on the cobblestone surface, and I thought that was a great way to incorporate the venue and the story and the vibe of their wedding day. And the next step is choosing color palette. So based on the items that you've collected from the bride and the groom and the wedding planner, you would basically just work off of those colors and make sure that there is a consistent theme. So for example, these invitations right here, I have light, soft pink, and a hint of that buttery orange. And then to complement that, I picked these orchids that they're white orchids, very simple, very classic and elegant. They have hints of that buttery yellow tone and some hints of pink as well. And step 5 is going to be setting the base. If you decide to use ribbons and florals, I'll lay them down first so that I can place the stationery on top of them. You don't really want to do it the other way where you lay the stationery down first, because otherwise you're going to be covering the details. And so what you want to do is in this case, I'm going to use just florals because I feel like it's simple and it's clean. I won't be using ribbons in this one. So I'm going to lay down these pieces first. And this might take a bit of trial and error. You're going to try different looks, and most likely you're going to be moving them around throughout all the steps, but this always just makes for an easy start. I'm going to save about 1/3 of the floral pieces so that I can add to the overall look later, fill in some empty spots once I've laid down the invitations. And step number 6 is choosing a layout. This part's a little tough because for this one, you kind of just have to, it's a lot of trial and error again, but it's really finding a layout that's balancing and pleasing to the eye. I personally like to place it out by size and by details and colors. And every scenario that you're given is going to be different. All the invitations are so different. But today, with the examples that I have, I'm going to be laying them out by size and by color. And in my example here, I have 3 stationery pieces in an envelope with this lovely detailed ribbon, orange buttery ribbon, and a wax stamp. What I want to do is place this pink colored envelope to separate. There's a lot of whites here, so I'm going to separate the white with this neutral pink color. And another tip is when you have ribbons in your flat lay, you also want to kind of twist the ribbon a little bit and let it fall, just kind of loosen it up a little so that it creates this perfect spiral. A perfect gentle spiral like that. And just a couple of tips as you are laying down the invitations. It's always nice when the flat lay has some depth to it. So a trick I like to use is using my lens caps to elevate the invitations. And I'll put it under certain invitations, not all of them. You only want to do a certain few of them. And in the empty spaces, I'm going to fill it in with accessories or smaller details such as the rings or florals, or if there's anything else that you think would look pleasing to the eye and it helps the composition of the photo. And step 7 is capturing from multiple perspectives. This is a fun part because you finally get to capture everything you worked so hard for. And so here what I like to do is I like to capture vertical photos. I love capturing horizontal photos. And then I also like to capture from an angle so that you get those multiple perspectives. And that really optimizes your options for when you're selecting your favorite photo, the best photo. And the last and final step is doing it all over again because you want to make sure that you have the best photo that you're capable of taking in that limited amount of time. It's going to be crunch time on wedding day and you want to take as many details as you want. And these are important because, like I said earlier, it sets a tone for the wedding day. And so just to make sure you've optimized your options, you want at least 2 different layouts so that later when you're processing and editing your photos and culling your favorite photos, you want to have options. All right, guys, so you learn that with practice, you'll begin perfecting it in no time, and maybe even try practicing it yourself at home before the wedding day. All right, friends, that's it for today. I hope you took some valuable information away from setting up and photographing flat lay details on the wedding day. Feel free to leave me any comments, suggestions, or questions below, and hit the subscribe button if you want to hear more things photography, entrepreneurship, and lifestyle. Thanks again, everybody. I'll see you guys next time.